Now it's just a little bit of a scary story about where we are right now, not by the people who run this place, but me. The least qualified person. So if I get something wrong, again, I'll just claim my door prize and I'll be on my way. You won't have to show me the door.
You're not getting it.
Just for a little background on where we're sitting, we're in the courtyard of, this is a courtyard. It's the second oldest home in Los Angeles. It was built in 1834 by the natives that were put to work at the San Fernando Mission right nearby here. Originally, it was 1 story and about 45 feet long. I'm so nervous I'm going to get one detail wrong and Jason's going to pull me off stage. I'm not sure if it was used for storage or like a guest house for the mission at first. In 1845, though, the entire valley was leased to Andres Pico, the brother of Pio Pico, the last Mexican governor of Alta California, who is that person. That's not Pio Pico, that's Andres Pico. Thank you, Jason. Andres never lived at the Adobe, and instead he stayed in the longhouse at the mission. So Andres signed a 9-year lease on this land, only for the Mexican-American War to break out a year later, and Pio took out a loan against a Spaniard named Eulogio de Celis for $14,000 to help win the war against the United States, and he said that if they didn't repay him in 8 months, de Celis would get the valley. You might not be familiar with how that war went, but in 8 months, de Celis found himself the proud new owner of 116,858 acres of land. You can build a great Graceland with that, I'm telling you. In 1854, Andres bought back half the valley from de Celis for $15,000. He made a nice profit. And in 1874, he gave the Adobe to his adopted son, Romulo, and his wife, Caterina.
I'll get that up.
Or Catalina, as we may now know it. Thanks, Jason. Those are them right there. You guess which one's which. The dining room and library had been added on before Romulo came in, but then he took it a step further and put in wood floors, built a second story, the kitchen, and 2 wings with a side of breadsticks and a liter of Pepsi for $9.99. The bandit Tiburcio Vasquez spent a night here during his during his rampage. There's some of his stuff still inside, which is pretty cool. The Pico family abandoned this place for good in the late 1800s, where it stood vacant for many years and fell into decay. There were rumors that there was treasure hidden in these thick adobe walls, and that there was a secret tunnel connecting here to the mission, so people came and dug up all the dirt and started pounding into the walls. They were rewarded for their vandalism by finding dirt. And maybe some straw if they were lucky. In 1927, an archaeologist and curator of the Southwest Museum, Dr. Mark Harrington, moved in with his wife Endika. They restored the adobe using bricks made from the surrounding soil, so it's mostly authentic. Added a north wing, a garage, the fireplace in the living room. They also planted some lemon trees out front that were used by the Sunkist packing house that used to be across the street. In 1945, the Harringtons moved out and the house was it changed hands some more until 1957. It was bought by the North Valley YMCA, who used it as their office until 1965, when it went up for sale yet again, and the San Fernando Valley Historical Society tries to raise money to buy it, but they couldn't, and I'm very disappointed in you. And it was looking like it was going to be destroyed until the city stepped in and bought it, and it has since been watched over by the Historical Society, and in 1966 was put on the National Register of Historic Places. Now the scary stuff. When this place was in one of its many states of decay, kids would play in the rubble, and there were reports of hearing moans coming from the location of the present south bedroom on the 2nd floor, which I think is those dark, scary windows up there. Right, Jason? Thank you, Jason. While Harrington lived there, drawers of Pico's desk would open up on their own, and a guitar could be heard playing in the living room at night. He didn't play the guitar. He played accordion. They would also hear the clicking of heels dancing to Spanish rhythms in the living room, and then they'd dance up the hallway, up the stairs, to their bedroom door, and then he'd open it, and they'd stop.
This sounds like the Haunted Mansion. The ballroom dancing.
Yeah. And then the ride broke down and they had to get out. Underneath the stairs, they'd hear the sound of someone sewing late at night, which is the scariest one to me. Yeah. Not this one, though. One time he took a picture of his wife against the southeast wall, and in the picture, when it was developed, was a woman dressed in a mantilla and a little girl standing next to her.
Oh, I don't like that.
He held a seance to see what was going on, and they said it was just Caterina thanking them for restoring their home, but a simple note in blood on the mirror would have done. That would have been great. And Jason, do you want to come and tell a few of your tales of hauntings working here?
Just so you all know, Daniel's going to be a docent here.
This whole thing was my interview.
Yes. And you passed, by the way.
Yes.
We're very glad to have you.
So what have you experienced that wasn't what I just said? I know you told me something very scary.
You told me a lot of things I didn't know.
Ah.
I would think you were making it up, actually. No, that's real. I'm kidding. We've had a lot of stories here. If you've been around long enough, you know there's a taboo about don't talk about the ghosts, and because we want you to know the real history about it. But honestly, there's a lot of ghost stories. If you talk to the right person, they will tell you. I've heard things happen here from the board members. They thought they saw a shadow. Who told me that story? Hannah? They saw a shadow of somebody walking. Several people saw it through the window, and nobody was in there. And Midge has a story. This happened recently. There was a gentleman upstairs doing research, literally like last month, and in the research room, and he asked Midge, who was that girl upstairs? Who was that girl upstairs? And she said, I'm sorry, there's no girl here. We didn't have any visitors. And he said he saw a girl up in the costume room. So that was where he had never been here before. So I'm really skeptical. You know, I'm not saying we've had paranormal investigations here. We've had EVP sessions and nothing happened. Telemundo was here. They did something last Halloween. But these are the kind of things that happen that make me go, what? You know? And another thing, this is recently.
What is that?
What? Oh, the birds at night.
Oh,
the birds at night. Okay, this is weird. Did anybody hear our podcast, the Brainwaves podcast, The Paranormal? It was a live show. They were here for 3 hours, and it was like almost midnight, and these birds were like just singing, and we were all creeped out because we're all out here in the courtyard. Like, what are these birds going off? So they know it's like on cue.
They love podcasts.
They want podcasts. So you start talking about scary stories, and their ears perk up. So we had the grand president of, help me out, the Native Daughters of the Golden West. Thank you, yes. And she was here, and we were giving a tour, and our docent Jerry and our docent Midge was in the living room, and we have an old Edison phonograph. Most of you have seen it, you know, with the big horn. I had my back to it, and nobody was near it, you know, and I hear the sound of something cranking, you know, you just turning. Like,
Now, what's that?
What? That's a fire engine.
Oh. Are the birds doing that?
They make wheelie noises.
Is that one of Greg's buzzers?
No, it's the air raid siren. Nobody get down. Sorry.
Where's the door prize?
No, I just got paranoid for a minute there. He wins the door prize, by the way.
Yes.
Anyways, we turned around, and the phonograph turned on by itself. It was running. Now, the needle didn't come down, but the cylinder turned on. Now, there's only two ways to turn that thing on. You could crank it, or you can just flip the switch. And Jerry went and turned it off. He said it's totally true, and Jerry wouldn't lie.
Jerry approved.
Jerry would not lie. And then I told Jerry about it, and then he blamed it on Duke Perrin from the Chatsworth Historical Society, because, you know, Duke likes to play tricks on us like that, because they're from Chatsworth, so. No, but this really happened. And so these are the kind of things that make you go, what? And I'm sure some of you have other stories.
Yeah.
But I will say that Elva Moline, how many of you remember Elva Moline? Nobody?
One person.
Two people. Okay.
Two people.
Elva Moline was our live-in caretaker. She lived here before the Northridge earthquake, because then half of the wall fell down, and that scared her. I mean,
Why would she be scared of that?
yeah, right. Katarina didn't scare her, but the wall falling down, that was pretty. No, when she first moved in, she would hear noises, and she thought that it was Katarina or Catalina, who we know, but that's a different story. She told her, I'm here now, I'm living here, and just get used to it. You know?
Huh.
So she acknowledged,
That's
and
all
this
it
was in the
takes.
Daily News, by the way. So I thought that was, like, interesting, that even Elva thought, you know, so. And Dr. Doyle said the ghosts went with Elva, so I don't know. But maybe they came back, apparently, so.